one of the things that everyone is debating is Trump calling for protests in the event that he's arrested. Now, I'm going to be honest with everybody out there. I will be outraged. I'll actually be really kind of scared for the future of our country because I think it's just going to set the precedent that many different politicians out there are going to get charged with crimes because whatever precedent you set, ultimately the other side ends up following it down the line. But I want to be really clear about this because as soon as I saw Trump's tweet about potentially getting arrested on today, everyone listening to us right now, Buck, do not do anything to protest. They are trying to set you up for another January 6th. They want you to knock down a barricade. They want you to storm a courthouse. They want you to set the message of Trump supporters are deranged, democratic lunatics. That's the narrative they're trying to set up. They want you to lose your mind. They want you to riot. They're not going to pay you $10 million like they're paying out BLM in all these cities where riots took place for months. They're going to arrest you. They're going to throw you in solitary confinement like they have the January 6th political prisoners. And almost no one in the political landscape is going to speak out for you. Don't let it happen to you.
Got to also say here that for a lot of people, there has been a reminder with this, with Trump's calls to protest. First of all, just an idea, throwing the word peacefully in there would be helpful just so that you wouldn't have what you did have, which was, all the MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, industrial complex saying that he's calling for riots. He's calling for, yes, obviously in good faith, you can assume that protest means First Amendment rights being exercised peacefully, but that's not how the Democrats take it. But anyway, that's a minor issue. That's just a stylistic point. But this is not a stylistic point. What was done by Trump and by the people around him and the sort of Mar-a-Lago power base for the January 6th defendants was enough done for them. There are people who are raising these questions right now. Our friend Jesse Kelly raised this question in a fiery monologue recently. There are others as well who are saying, okay, hold on a second. Since you're calling for more protests, granted, protests, not riots. He said protests, of course. But we're thinking back to what happened to the last people that showed up and protested. How many truth socials have there been that are fired up about the, raising money for the defense fund for J6 defendants who have been lingering in the D.C. gulag, and they have not been given their due process rights. They have not been afforded fair trials. They have not been given venue changes by those judges. They've been held for months and months on the lunatic theory that judges have written down, Clay, that they might do another insurrection if they got out. This includes people that didn't hurt anyone. Years. And so people are saying with Trump right now, what did he really do for them? And I know people do not want to hear that, but it is a conversation that is happening on the right, and a lot of people don't have very good answers.
Well, and this is one where I would say I'm very proud of what we've done on this program, which is I bet of almost any media outlet, any show, I bet we have spent more time talking about those prisoners of January 6th than I donated. You remember we had Julie Kelly on. I donated thousands of dollars directly to try to get these guys legal representation. But I just want everybody out there. You saw what happened with the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping case. You've seen what happens with the January 6th. You've seen what they did for the people who stood outside of abortion clinics and protested. I mean, a guy shoves a protester lightly and they try to put him away in prison for years. This Department of Justice, they do not concern themselves with justice. They are going after their political enemies. And if you do anything untoward in the event that Donald Trump is arrested, particularly if you do it in a blue city, or certainly if you do it in a blue state, they are going to throw the legal book at you. Just like, to be fair, I think this is important on the Alvin Bragg charges, Buck. The guy took office saying, I'm not going to prosecute felonies. I'm going to reduce many felonies to misdemeanors. And now he's elevating a misdemeanor under state law in New York to a felony to go after Donald Trump. That's what they are going to do to you. So listen to us. You can be angry. You can want to get active. Do not do anything that could run you afoul of the law, because they will come after you. And next thing you know, you'll be a headline on CNN. You'll be a headline on MSNBC. And they'll be talking about all the deranged Trump supporters and their reaction, which turns, to be fair, and I think if we had Trump on, I would tell him the same thing. Donald Trump, you want the story of your arrest to be the unfounded political nature of that arrest. You don't want it to be your supporters' response to that arrest. If you're Trump and you want to flash the handcuffs as you walk in and define yourself as a political prisoner, I think that's a great look for Trump. I really do. I think it helps him. What does not help him is what MSNBC and CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post will do, Buck, is if 4 people get arrested for violence, Trump getting arrested will become the secondary story, and it will become, look at these Trump-supporting maniacs trying to overthrow democracy again. They're coming after our legal system now. They've already come after our Constitution.
I understand also, because people share this frustration with us. They say, but it's so unfair because they had the BLM riots all through 2020, and that's never even talked about. And and Kamala Harris wanted money raised for rioters, for people that were destroying our society because of, as we know, what was accomplished. Nothing was accomplished other than raising crime rates and more people getting shot and murdered across America.
Correct.
As a result of the anti-police, anti-law enforcement movement that Democrats embraced in that year, that is what happened. But to your point about what goes on now, it isn't going to be fair, and we need to understand that. It is a rigged game, and what that means in the context of protest in favor of or in support of the craziness of a possible Trump prosecution is, if you have a handful of people who, throw fists at cops or get crazy over this or whatever, CNN will run it on a loop for the next 6 months, for the next 18 months. It doesn't matter that it's a misrepresentation. If they have even the slightest opportunity, they are absolutely dishonorable propagandists, and they will use it. So that is and now you could say, oh, but we'll tell the truth on this show. We'll say, guys, it was 2 people. There were 30,000 people protesting. But we will tell the truth. Fox will tell the truth of what a few other other radio hosts and podcasters, etc. But we don't have 90% of journos in the media to hammer home a narrative. So if they just have even the smallest window to misrepresent it as, oh, it's J6 again, they will do it.
100% right. And I think that's so important. We'll take some of your calls maybe to close out the hour, but understand what their game plan is. They want you to lose your mind. They want you to break the law, and they want to use you as a symbol of all Trump supporters and how unacceptable your opinions are. I understand the rage. They want Trump. They want him against Biden. They're going to do whatever they can to make it happen. And we're going to talk about, I think, in the next hour, Ron DeSantis and how other political candidates that may well be running in 2024 are handling this Trump situation and what they should do. And I'll even ask this question as we get ready to go to break. Does Trump want to be arrested? Because when he tweeted, I guess truthed out, that he was going to be arrested today on Tuesday, it felt a little bit like a challenge to Alvin Bragg of go ahead and do it. I think Trump wants the perp walk. I think Trump wants to be charged in this case. Is that the right move for him? I think there are so many different aspects here that it's very hard to predict because there are so many different moving parts here that it's hard to analyze. To your point, Buck, and we'll talk with Andy McCarthy about this, how does this impact the Georgia investigation? What, if anything, does Merrick Garland say publicly about these Alvin Bragg charges? How does that impact January 6th and the classified document investigation on a federal level? I mean, I just think there are so many angles here that become so complicated, but the biggest one is once you set the precedent that you can arrest for relatively minor charges your chief political rival, that's not ending. We become a banana republic. It's going to become for the rest of our lives, there will be presidential candidates being arrested in this country.
I would just add, and this is one thing I want to come back to later, Clay, laughably minor charges.
Yes.
This is like saying somebody was double parked outside a courthouse and it's felony obstruction of justice because the judge couldn't get into the courthouse or something. This is crazy.
And at the essence of it, Buck, it's charging somebody with campaign finance violations. Almost all campaign finance violations are designed to keep candidates from taking money for themselves. Here, Trump is giving his money to Stormy Daniels, right? Most campaign finance, I studied it in law school, is about, hey, we don't want this guy to end up super rich because he's stealing money. It's the exact opposite of what Trump did here.